Welcome everyone to Zoom into Books. Actually, we're having Christmas in July here. We have award-winning author Colleen Driscoll with us today to talk about Piper the Elf and the fourth book in her Piper the Elf series. So I'm going to hand it off to Colleen. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Colleen Driscoll, and I am an author from West Virginia, and I am the author of the set of books called Piper the Elf. Today, we are going to read about Piper the Elf's Big Surprise. So before we begin this story, I'd like to talk to the little kids that are there watching today and show them something that Piper sent me from the North Pole. It's her tool bag. She found out that I was going to be on Zoom for books today, and she wanted me to have this tool bag so I could share to all the boys and girls the tools that she uses at the North Pole to help Santa make some of his toys. Now, who's interested in finding out what Piper the Elf keeps in her tool bag? I bet you there's some good secrets in there. So let's go ahead and begin. Whenever you go to make some toys, sometimes you have to build things from scratch. So we will start just pulling things out and seeing if we can figure out what they are. Now this is a picture of a machine. Does anyone know what this is? I hear some different responses. It's not a hair dryer. No, you got to think about tools. This is a little clue. What is this? And listen real close. Yes, that's sandpaper. So we use sandpaper to sand wood nice and smooth. This is a sander. Santa will put the sandpaper underneath the sander and he'll go over the wood. Like if you have a ball or a bat and you like to play baseball or other toys that maybe a scooter or a wooden bench, he'll put it over there and he'll sand it nice and smooth. Now, Piper uses the sandpaper and it's nice and she'll go and rub it back and forth. But a sander goes so much faster that only Santa can use the sander. So let's try it with our hands. Rub your hand nice and slow. You see how nice and warm that is? Just a little bit. Now, if you go real fast, your hands get hot. And so because that's a little more dangerous, Santa's the one that uses the sander. Okay, here we go. So that's how we use it. Then the next thing that's in Piper's sandbox, or toolbox, is a container of putty. I wonder who knows what to do with putty. We will see that in the book, Santa the Elf's Big Surprise. We use putty as a patch. It's almost like glue, but it patches over holes so that we can use things and make it nice and smooth. And this is a putty knife. So we will dip it in the putty, and you'll see this in the book. She'll dip it in the putty and smooth over the sleigh that they're going to fix. So they're going to try to do that with Piper the Elf's Big Surprise for Santa Claus. The next thing we have, and I need you to keep your eyes open on this in the book, is a picture of a man in a funny helmet doing something with a spark. Now this is only for adults, but Santa will do this in the book. And this is a welder. And this is a welding helmet because it protects the face, and only adults can use the welder. But in the book, Piper's too young, but Santa knows how to weld, and so does the little penguin that we've been reading about. The other thing that's in Santa's and Piper's tool bag are goggles, safety glasses. Why would Piper have those in her tool bag? I think, let me check the answers. Somebody knows. It's for their safety, to protect their eyes. So if your mommies and daddies go out and mow grass, they might be wearing safety glasses. And when we work on tools, we always have to have safety first. So that's why we have the safety glasses. If you have them at home, raise your hand. Because I like safety glasses. They keep you safe. The last thing almost that's in this bag is one of her paintbrushes. She wanted me to show you that when you make paint a picture or you paint a toy, it makes things so much happier and it's brighter and it's just better to look at. So Piper will have a paint can and she'll dip the brush into the can and she'll paint. And I always ask students, why do you think that we paint colors? Can you imagine how plain everything would look if everything was white? Ooh, I mean, white means clean, and that's a sign like hospital walls are always nice and white, but we always like to wear colors. If you look at your clothes, you have colors on your clothes, and it just makes us have that personality. Just like your special toys. Look around at all your toys, they're very colorful, and Piper's very colorful. So we like to have different colors of paint, and Piper uses her paintbrush. So I like to say thank you, Piper, for letting us have your tool bag and having a sneak peek on the type of things that go on at the North Pole in the toy shop. Now we're going to begin with our book that we have that we're going to read today, and it's called Piper the Elf's Big Surprise. Okay, so let me make sure everything's set. And we will go ahead and start reading. Piper the Elf's Big Surprise. Piper the Elf was excited about Christmas. Each day, Piper and the elves had fun making toys for Santa. One blustery afternoon, Santa looked troubled as he walked into the toy shop. I inspected my sleigh today and saw many holes rusted through the sides and bottom, he said. I'm afraid the toys will fall out as I fly through the sky on Christmas Eve. Can anyone help me in the evening to patch the holes and repair my sleigh? The elves looked at each other and lowered their heads. No one volunteered to help. Piper's father said, Santa, we work hard all day making toys. We are too tired to help you in the evening. Santa was disappointed, but he did not want to overwork the elves. They needed to work during the day to finish the toys in time for Christmas. Piper bit her lip and thought, she had chores in the evening, but she didn't want to upset Santa. She raised her hand. I will help you, she said. The elves stared with open mouths. Thank you, Piper, Santa said. We will repair the sleigh in the warehouse. That night, they began the repairs. The rickety sleigh was dented and had many holes. Santa used the sander and showed Piper how to remove the rust around the holes with sandpaper. Can we paint the sleigh now? Piper asked. Santa laughed. No, Piper, the sleigh is not ready to be painted yet. He looked worried as they sanded the holes. I have many gifts to deliver this year. I hope the sleigh can hold all the toys, he said. Piper looked at the small, worn-out sleigh. She shook her head and said, you need a bigger sleigh. She watched Santa wipe a tear from his eye. They worked until Piper's bedtime. Each evening after dinner, Santa and Piper met at the warehouse to repair the sleigh. Some nights, Mrs. Claus surprised them and brought drinks and snacks. It took an entire week to patch the holes. Then Santa how to add putty over the patched area and smooth them with sandpaper. My sleigh is wobbly when I fly in the sky, Santa said. Sometimes the ride is bumpy and presents bounce out of the sleigh. Piper stopped sanding and yawned. Long runners will help you glide through the air, she said. Are we ready to paint the sleigh yet? Santa chuckled. You need patience, Piper. Soon we can paint. Piper continued making toys with her friends during the day in the toy shop before she helped Santa in the evening. One morning, she fell asleep as she painted wooden blocks. The little elves were worried about her. Piper, wake up, Holly said, nudging her. You work too hard, Jack said. How long are you going to help Santa? Miles asked. Until the sleigh is finished, Piper said. After the patches were sanded smooth, Santa and Piper sprayed primer over the patched holes to protect the repairs from rusting again. Piper was excited until she saw the patches were now a different color, gray. The sleigh still looks faded, Piper said. This sleigh is worn out, but it is the only one I have. Let's paint the sleigh with our special candy cane dye, Santa said. A glossy red color might make the sleigh look better. 3 days before Christmas, Santa and Piper painted the sleigh a bright shade of red. This small sleigh may be old, but it sure is shiny, Piper said. Santa stopped painting and looked at the sleigh. Yes, but it will still be hard to see when I drive on snowy nights, he said. You need lights on your sleigh. Maybe your next sleigh will have lights, Piper said cheerfully. Santa sighed. No, Piper, we can't build another sleigh. During the day, the elves make toys. By nighttime, they are too tired. I am thankful you volunteered to help me. He watched Piper yawn. This is the last night to work on the sleigh, Santa said. The paint needs to dry, but the sleigh will be ready to use on Christmas Eve. You should go home and get some rest. Tomorrow night is the Christmas celebration. Piper laughed. I'm so tired that I forgot about your party. Good night, Santa, she said. But Piper didn't go to bed when she left the warehouse. Tonight, just like each night during the past month, she walked to her father's garage where her parents and the other elves waited for her. They jumped up and down when they saw her. Piper's father asked, Do you have any news for us tonight? Piper told the elves what she had learned. The lights stayed on the garage a long time. The next day, the elves wrapped gifts. Tomorrow, they would load Christmas party. Santa always gave the elves a gift to thank them for their hard work. Afterwards, Piper's father stood up among the group and said, Santa, we have a gift for you. Santa's eyes grew wide. The elves usually didn't have time to make him a gift. Let's take a look a minute, and I'm going to go back and see if anyone has a clue what the elves would be. What would the elves be making Santa? Do we have any ideas? I'm looking. Nope, nobody has the right answer yet. So we're going to go back and see what surprise they had for Santa Claus.
Colleen,
Yes.
you need to share your screen again, please. There you go.
Okay. So the elves, Santa's eyes grew wide. The elves usually didn't have time to make him a gift. They led Santa outside and asked, What is this? The elves laughed. Piper said, Santa, it is your new sleigh. He stumbled backwards. In front of him was a large sparkling red sleigh with long runners and lights along the top. When did you build this? He asked. How did you know to design it this way? Piper's father said, Santa, you need a new sleigh. Your old sleigh is too small and unsafe for long trips. We couldn't help repair your old sleigh because we were busy making you a new one. Piper has been very helpful. She worked with you in the evening and then helped us at night. She gave us ideas for your new sleigh. Santa looked at Piper. No wonder she was always tired. She had been working triple duty. She worked in the toy shop during the day, with Santa in the evening, and with the elves late at night. Santa exclaimed in his jolly voice, Ho, ho, ho! What a big surprise! This is the perfect sleigh. He looked at Piper and said, because you surprised me with your hard work, I have a surprise for you. Will you join me on my new sleigh when I deliver toys tomorrow night? Now it was Piper's turn to be surprised. The elves clapped wildly. Being Santa's helper on Christmas Eve was the best present anyone could ever want. Piper sprinted home down the lane, leaving the party early. The elves still cheered for her as she ran inside her house. If Piper was staying up late tomorrow night, she needed to go to bed early tonight. She wanted to be well rested for her midnight adventure with Santa Claus. And that is the end of this story. I hope you enjoyed it. Let's take a look at the back of the book. There are tools that Piper has from her toolbox. Did you see the safety glasses in the book when Santa and Piper had safety glasses on that they were using? And then we have the putty and the putty knife and the sandpaper, which Piper used to try to get rid of the rust spots. There's a sander, a paintbrush and the paint can, and the welding helmet that the little penguin had on, and the welding tools. Now remember, some of these tools in Piper's tool bag are for older elves and for Santa Claus. Little kids can only do certain things. We can do the sandpaper, we can put on our safety glasses, and we can help our parents paint. And those are the tools that we're going to use for this book. I hope you enjoyed the story. And let me tell you a little bit about So I'd like to talk to you about the type of person that Piper is. Reading the story and listening to it, what do you think she does? Do you think she is a good helper around the house? A lot of you say yes. Yes, she's a very good helper. Piper's the type of little elf that we want to be as kids. We want to be helpful. We want to help our parents when they have a lot of work to do around the house, because we know, especially now, that they're very, very busy. So we like to make sure that Piper is busy doing all the work around the North Pole and that we're busy helping out doing that as well. We want to help our parents make our beds and clean our rooms. What other type of characteristic do you think Piper is? Do you think she's friendly? Yes, and that's another characteristic we want to be. We want to be nice to everybody. Piper is not mean to any of the little elves up at the North Pole. She's a good friend, and nobody bullies anybody up there because they all get along. And that's the way that we should be when we're with our classes and we have our students together. We want to be nice to everybody that we see and helpful. So remember, if you have somebody at home that you know needs help, or your grandparents or your neighbors, and they need help, and because maybe they're getting a little too old or it's a lot of work, have your parents come and help them or help your parents. And that's how we can make the world such a better place. Now, Piper, I started with Piper about 10 years ago writing the first story. And it's because I wanted little kids to see how we can be ourselves as little kids and be a helpful little person. We want to be kind, we want to be friendly, we want to be helpful. And that's the type of friend that we want to be to everybody else. Now, some people have some questions and they're asking me about school visits. Yes, I do school visits inside the schools. So when you start back to school this fall and you'd like to have your principal or your teachers contact me, we can do a Zoom visit. And if your school's back and going on regular classes, I can come to school visits and we can read those stories. I like to have at Christmas time, especially in November and December and sometimes October, because we get so busy doing school books, that we can read any of the 4 books that I have with Piper the Elf Trained Santa, Piper the Elf and Santa's Rockin' Band, Piper the Elf's Big Surprise, which I just read today, and Piper the Elf Rides a Reindeer. So Piper will keep your schools very, very busy if you decide you'd like to do school visits. And I have little worksheets and little sessions for the parents and teachers as well. So keep that in mind. And let me see if you have any other questions. I think somebody asked about any awards. Yes, Piper has won the Mom's Choice Awards. Every book of Piper the Elf has won a Mom's Choice Award. And the last book, Piper the Elf and with the Reindeer, Rides a Reindeer, has won the Creative Magazine Award for the Creative Child Parent Magazine. So that one has won an award as well. These are super good books. They're nice, good pictures to look at. And little kids can even look at the pictures as well. Because did you notice a little animal that was on every page? Did anybody notice that? It's the penguin. The penguins are on every page. And if you missed it, we will go ahead and we'll try it again. And I'll show you those pictures. I'm going to share the book again. And we are going to look at the pictures and see if we can point out the penguin that we have and tell me what you think that penguin is doing. Okay, the very first picture is the penguin on the horse. Look at that little penguin riding with a little hat off, said, giddy up, horsey. So that was the penguin there. What is the penguin doing down here? Santa scratching his head, and the penguin's like, what's going on? So the penguin follows whatever Piper and everybody else is wondering. Piper's dad saying, what's going on? And the penguin says, what's going on, Santa? And on this one, when they're in the toy shop, the penguin is playing with the basketball. Penguin sounds like a fun character. On this is the one, this is my favorite picture in the entire book because the penguin has on a welder's cap. And a lot of you may not know this, but my dad was a welder and he worked in a machine shop and he welded. So when we put this picture together, I asked the illustrator, Brian Dumm, to make a welding picture. And he put the welding helmet on the penguin, which is so super cool. So that's the penguin there. This one they're all eating. And look at that big cookie that that penguin loves. So you can tell that that penguin's a lot of fun. The next picture is when they're painting or they're sanding with that sanding and then the puttying that they're putting over. And that penguin's a little curious because he's looking over the sleigh. The next one, when Piper's sleeping, guess who fell asleep next to Piper? The penguin. The penguin's always a nice little helper for Piper. This is the picture whenever they're ready to put primer on the sleigh, and Piper still doesn't like the color very much, but the penguin's listening. He goes, okay, what can we do to make this sleigh a little bit better? Because they did not like the gray patches. And then they decided to paint the sleigh that candy cane red color. And where's the penguin? He's in the toolbox sleeping away. That is another adorable picture. Now this one was special because there's two pictures. So there's two penguins. The first one has the penguin next to Piper saying, okay, what's going on? They're asking Piper, what's going on that we can put onto the sleigh? And the next picture is in the house and you don't see any else, but you do see one little guy through the window. And who is he? The penguin. The penguin's peeking out. The next page, they have during the Christmas party when Santa's giving out the gifts, who is the little helper for Santa? It's not Piper in this one, it's the penguin. Then when they give Santa his sleigh, who is the first one on that new sleigh? He's just laying back and relaxing and says, hey, I'm just chilling. So he's chilling in the North Pole with his friend Santa. It's a pretty cool sleigh, isn't it? Did you notice how it has the long runners? It's a lot bigger to hold all the presents, and it has lights. So that way Santa can see at night when he's driving through the sky. And on this page, the penguin just has his hand right on. This is pretty cool. And when Santa asks Piper to be with him on Christmas Eve, guess who's going to go with him? I would imagine he's going to go on that midnight ride. So that's how the penguin is involved in this story. So let me see if we have any more. Somebody said, what is your favorite Christmas memory? My favorite Christmas memory, I would say, is when I was about 8 or 9 years old. And I woke up in the middle of the night. I was so excited about Christmas. And I was one of 9 kids. And everybody was sleeping. And I had to run to the bathroom real quick. And I peeked downstairs. It was Christmas Eve. And I peeked down there and saw all the gifts that were downstairs. And I hurried up and went back to bed because in case Santa was there, I didn't want to interrupt him. So I ran back to bed, and I will never forget how excited I was the rest of the night, wondering, when can I wake up? When can I go downstairs and see what Santa gave us? That was my favorite one as a little kid. So I hope you have lots of different stories, and feel free to let me know your stories, because we could go back and forth and send little messages on my website if we can actually post things of little kids' favorite Christmas stories. So if I get enough stories coming in, I can post that on my site and say, these are Piper's friends, which are you guys, their favorite Christmas memories. And I can put mine there, and you can add to yours and put your favorite Christmas memories down. Wouldn't that be nice? And that way Piper can take all those memories back, put them in her little tool bag, and take them back to Santa, so Santa knows how excited we all are about Christmas. So let me see if there's any more questions. Somebody asked, who's my favorite friend of Piper? Oh, that's a good question. In the 4 books that Piper has, she has lots of friends. She has Miles, who helped build a snowman in the first page, in the first book. But Miles was also the one who wrecked all their instruments in the second book. Do you remember that? When he was afraid because he couldn't play an instrument. So Miles is a nice friend to Piper because she's very patient with him. She knows he may not be the kindest at times, and he's pretty rambunctious sometimes, but she's still very kind to him and a very good friend. And I think he's a good friend to her. He likes her, and he's not afraid to tell her whenever something's wrong. So I like Miles. And then there's Ricky and Nikki. Ricky and Nikki are friends, and they're in the first book when they're sliding down the hills. And they're also in the other books too, whenever they're trying to feed the reindeer. And the other books also have different elves than the first book. We had Jack started playing the guitar in the second book. And Jack is also, if you notice, in the 4th book. Now, not all the elves are in every book, but they are scattered throughout the books, because we have Holly and Lynn and Jack and Miles. So there's lots of friends that Piper has, just like you have lots of friends. So that's a really cool little place up at the North Pole that they have together. I think that's it. I do want to say, if you're interested in the Piper the Elf books, you can contact Headline Books and their websites. And we are running a special where you will get a signed book. And I believe it's free shipping on that. If you decide you want any books, you contact Headline Books, or you can contact me and my website, and you can order your books there. And I will be happy to go ahead and autograph one and put little messages in for you. And if you have siblings, we can do a couple books, or we can put them all in one book. So you just have to message me under my website or contact Headline Books. And this is the Zoom for Books little program, the Zoom into Books that Headline Books has started. And it's a great program for kids and adults whenever you get to meet the authors and you get to talk to us and ask questions. And then you'll be directed to our web pages as well, and you'll see all the books that we have. So I hope that you enjoyed the Piper book and learning about Piper the Elf. And I hope you come into more of the Zoom into Books program from Headline Books. And remember, if you like the book today, they are available on Headline Books and my website. So just link on to Headline Books or go under the end of the Facebook Live stream that you'll see today, and it has all the contact information. So bye for now, and I hope to see you soon, and keep reading the Piper the Elf books. Goodbye.